All right, we are live. You are watching the Loose Lug Nuts, Season 2. I think this is episode 22. We got a lot to unpack this week. Great racing over the weekend. Bombshells dropping in the news. All kinds of stuff going on this weekend. A lot to get through, and I'm going to unpack all of that with my friends and co-hosts, Aaron Simmons and Zachary Brandwold. Let's start with Aaron. How are you tonight, Aaron?
Very tired. This week has not been a very good week for me. Had to go to a funeral this week up in Indiana. The trip up there was horrendous, awful, could not go any worse. Well, it could have, but thankfully it didn't. But we got up there, had the funeral, came back, very long drive. Had to work today, and I'm working the rest of this week, so it's gonna be a very long week. I'm tired, but I was very excited because the one silver lining of this show, or of this week, has been this show. I'm ready to get back into it. I'm ready to talk about some NASCAR, baby.
All right. Well, I am glad it's been a silver lining for you. Mike Were chiming in saying, yeah, it's been crazy week. So apparently maybe it's a full moon. I don't know, something going on. Zach,
I
how are
don't
you
know.
this evening?
Yeah, it's the summer solstice. I think it was either today or yesterday. So it's the largest moon of the entire calendar year, just so you're aware. Doing
Well,
all
I'm
right.
blaming
Yeah, doing all right, hanging in there. Excited to be talking NASCAR with y'all and get this thing rolling. So, yeah.
All right, so we are going to cover the races in a little bit different fashion this week because we figure most of you guys are NASCAR fans. You probably already know kind of what happened, and if you didn't watch the race, you probably at least saw some highlights or heard about it. So instead of taking you through kind of stage by stage and event by event, we're just going to pick a few big storylines from each race, and we're going to kind of talk about them back and forth with each other here. And feel free to chime in with your comments, but let's start with the truck race. And I picked up three big storylines here. One is a big day for the underdog. Parker Kligerman grabs the win. Huge underdog, underfunded team going up against the likes of, the Kyle Busch Motorsports and the Joe Gibbs Racing or what have you, the big money teams. But Parker Kligerman grabs a win as an underdog. Other thing that struck me is, unlike what we have seen in the Xfinity and Cup races, he and Zane Smith had a lot of respect for each other. They raced hard. They traded the lead 2 or 3 times. They spent a lap and a half probably at a road course running side by side, fighting out for the lead. Neither one of them touched the other. And they swapped the lead multiple times in the closing stage. But I was so impressed with the respect they showed for each other and the way they raced each other clean. Third story that I picked up on is Hailie Deegan finishes P10, becoming the first woman to score 2 top 10 finishes in the truck series. So congratulations to Hailie, writing her name in the history books as the first woman to do that. But those are the 3 big storylines I picked up. I'll let you guys comment on 1, 2, or all of those storylines. But let's start with you, Aaron. What do you have to say about the truck race at Mid-Ohio?
I personally did not see the race. Of course, I was flying up to Indiana during that day, but from what I saw from the highlights, it looked like just a battle between the big dog and the little dog, David versus Goliath, and just the mutual respect. And I know that's been the key and the hot words, the mutual respect these two have had for each other all throughout the ending of that race. But that race was just a feel good story for Parker Kligerman. I think only his second win in the Truck Series ever, and so I gotta just hats off to you, Parker, and hats off to Zane Smith. A 23-year-old racing like a veteran, just racing clean, racing professionally, having great respect for his elders, and usually you don't see that in a lot of young guys nowadays. You just don't see it. It's always the beating, the banging, the rubbing, the racing. Trying to do everything you can to get a win for your boss man and for your own career. But Zane Smith said, no, that's not how I want to race. That's not how I want to be raced, and raced him clean. So that was just a phenomenal race by both of those drivers. Each of them deserved the top 2 spots, and honestly, each of them deserved to win.
Yeah, absolutely. I was very happy to see Parker Kligerman get into victory lane. Just a wholesome guy, not only as a race car driver, but he brings such good insight. Also, to the broadcast, he does a bunch of NBC's work as well when he can. And I don't know if you guys have watched him before, but he's just so smart with how he's talking and what he brings to the table. But he's always a threat on road courses when he attends. That 75 truck is definitely underfunded. They haven't necessarily struggled so far. I mean, they're running a part-time schedule. They have several top fives before this win. I think it was just a matter of time. You put all that work together and put it all together on track, you're going to get a win. So awesome for the team. I just couldn't help but cheering him on. And like you said, having that kind of respect, not to, send it in. And, he could have definitely run him over and moved him out of the way for the win. But he didn't. And that takes some serious respect. And I hope all the fans understand that and see that. We'll have to see if this might affect him, may or may not affect him as far as championship points. But in the end, I don't think it will. But overall, really excited for Parker Kligerman.
Yeah, my friends at Racing Refresh were there covering that race. They were actually there in the pit box when he was crossing the line, and they were talking, they kept going on about the emotion that went along with that win. They said there were so many tears and so many guys crying, and just that win meant so much to that underfunded team. And I got to admit, I did not know Parker Kligerman was such a threat at road courses. I had no idea. So it was great to see.
He began his racing and in IMSA and GT classes. So he's a road course ace.
Yeah. And I want to talk about Haley Deegan becoming the first woman to score 2 top 10 finishes in the truck series. I really don't know if it is her or her equipment, but she hasn't had much success. But maybe she's getting better. Maybe the equipment's getting better. But I became a fan of hers when I watched her in the SRX series. So Haley is a lover or hater. Either you love her because she's a woman driver and you want to see her succeed, or you hate her because you don't think she belongs anywhere near the sport. But I was glad to see her get that. I'd like to see her in better equipment just so we can get a definitive answer on whether she is a good driver or not. But maybe time will tell with that. But for now, P10, second of her career. Let's move on to the Xfinity race. The 3 takeaways I got from that is Austin Hill concludes a big week for Richard Childress Racing with a win. So Richard Childress started the week with a big win by Tyler Reddick in the Cup Series. Ends the week with a big win by Austin Hill. So big week for him. Austin Hill, hometown boy, grew up just a little ways away from Atlanta, been racing at that track since he was knee-high to a grasshopper, as they say in the South, and gets a win. And we'll talk more about other events involving Richard Childress Racing when we get to the news. But it seemed to be a game of follow the leader. Atlanta has become kind of a fun-sized restrictor plate track where you got to stay in the draft, but yet it's in this odd spot where you have to stay in the draft, but it seems like you can't get out of line unless you got a whole lot of help and pass, because once somebody gets up front, nobody seems to be able to do anything with them. And we saw Parker Kligerman, Austin Hill. I don't know exactly how many laps in a row he led at the end, but it seems like it was a whole fuel run, basically. So those are the 2 takeaways from the Xfinity series. What are your guys' thoughts on that? And what does our fans think of that? And is there any other big storylines from the Xfinity race you want to hear about? I start with you. What do you think?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch, but a couple of maybe like 30 minutes of it. But one thing that really stood out to me, and you mentioned it earlier, the racing was very odd to me. You really couldn't pass. It seemed like they got loose every single time they would try and move down or hook up with each other. It was pretty much, I think like you said earlier, follow the leader for most of the race. And what I watched, once you were the leader, you could basically control the pack. People got runs very rarely, and couldn't make passes that way, unfortunately. So it was a little bit in contrast to what we saw in the Cup race. So hopefully that was just a condition of the weather and not what we'll see in the future for Atlanta.
Yeah, I really kind of agree. I mean, Atlanta is still very mixed for me. I don't know whether I love it or hate it. That's really all I gotta say about Atlanta. And the Xfinity race kind of really brought that out because, I mean, it does make for some great pack racing though. It really does. You have like 1st through 8th up there. Basically, is in contention to win it, but it just doesn't feel like Atlanta. It's just weird. I mean, I'm happy for Austin Dillon. I truly am happy for Austin Dillon because he did go out there and earn that win. But I just don't know if this is like a good staying power for Atlanta or not. And I know NASCAR doesn't care, doesn't hear what we have to say. But to me, Atlanta just, I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of Atlanta, at least in the Xfinity series. I just wasn't a huge fan of it. It just seemed like a very boring race to me.
Yeah, it was kind of like even the drivers were saying when they were in line, the right move is to not make a move. So, yeah, that was kind of disappointing. And I think you said Austin Dillon. I think you meant Austin Hill.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, Austin Hill, sorry.
Yeah. But anyway, let's go on to the Cup race at Atlanta. That was a great segue by talking about how it compares to the Cup race. Big news from the Cup race or big storylines. Chase Elliott wins and continues his hot streak. He won at Nashville, 2nd at Road America, and then another win at Atlanta. As we nicknamed him here or stole it from some 12-year-old kid, Wreck-It Ross continues. He got into Denny Hamlin and continues to make enemies. And we saw a pit crew swap with Christopher Bell and Bubba Wallace. With Bubba Wallace having so many troubles with his pit crew, they decided to do a swap between JGR and 2311, which, of course, 2311 is an affiliate, and swap the pit crew. So those were kind of the 3 big takeaways I got from the race. And again, fans, if you have any other comments on other big takeaways or opinions on what we're talking about, let us know. But let's go back to Aaron. Aaron, what are your comments on these big storylines?
Well, first things first, I thought it was just going to be Chase Elliott the entire way. I mean, honestly, through stage 1, I thought it was going to be Denny Hamlin because it seems like everybody in stage 1 was complaining about how loose their car was. Even Kyle Larson, the king of the dirt, he was complaining about how loose his car was. And if he's complaining about how loose his car is, everybody else is having some problems. Except for Denny Hamlin. It seemed like he had at least a car to beat, at least for the first stage. Turns out that didn't happen. But from stage 2 on, I thought it was going to be Chase Elliott's show because he was one of the few cars that could actually, kind of be back in 5th or 3rd place behind the leader and actually like bulldoze through at least to the lead and stay there. And so I guess my stage 2 is just a Chase Elliott show unless he crashed out. But also for Ross Chastain, man. I don't know what it is with Denny Hamlin and Ross Chastain. Apparently they have like some magnets in their cars and they're just attracted to each other. But it seems like those two just cannot stay off of each other. And it's going to be very interesting going into the playoffs at least because...
Well, I think the magnet is at the back of Denny Hamlin's car and the front of Ross Chastain's car.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. Very interesting come playoff time.
Yeah, and I saw some comments on social media and was responding, and somebody was saying, what are you talking about? He's wrecked everybody all season long, and you can just get away with that, and you can do that. If that's the way you want to drive, you drive that way, and it's fine. And I said, you're absolutely right so far. But we aren't in the playoffs yet, and I really think that he's going to get some payback when playoffs come around, maybe in an elimination race. I just don't think this is going to happen without there being some retaliation. But Zach, what are your comments?
Yeah, so I saw most of the same things you guys did. Loose race cars. I saw Chase Elliott be able to pass pretty much any car that he wanted to in the field all day, no matter where he was. he was able to work his way through the pack like no one else. I didn't see anyone else be able to challenge him the way that that he was passing cars. And then obviously you had the Ross incident again, and I think I saw something on Twitter or where it's just a list of drivers that Ross has ruined days. And there's a very, very fine group of people that are not on that list yet. And I say yet because he's going to mess around and continue this, and he's going to get wrecked himself. I think it's only a matter of time. And maybe Denny is waiting. He had his chance a couple times since the first incident, and he didn't take it. He actually moved out of the way. Way out of the way. And now there's a second incident. So we'll see if this happens now or if it'll happen in the playoffs. By the way, I think Ross is going to be down on some people's lists as far as making the championship because I don't think that he will make it there, in my opinion, after all of this. So I mean, I said it after his first win in COTA. I thought he was a very aggressive driver then, very aggressive move. And, I think he's a very aggressive driver now, even more so. I want to love the guy, but at the same time, it's hard when you're constantly making mistakes that you should not be making. I would say he's not a rookie, but he's not a veteran. So he's kind of in between, but I would still say he has more veteran status compared to some of the other drivers in Cup right now, just simply of how long he's been racing. But we'll see if this has any effect on the championship. I think it will.
Yeah, when Ross, I do some league racing with a guy who said he grew up racing with Ross, said he is the same age as Ross Chastain. And he said, what you're seeing now is the same thing I saw when we were kids. He said, that is Ross. That is how he races. He has not changed a bit since we were kids. So people talking about Ross Chastain changing or learning or doing differently, according to at least one person who grew up racing with him, that's kind of the same way he was. The thing that I took away from this, because I didn't get to see a lot of the race because I was actually spending some quality time with my kids, which I absolutely loved, is the Bubba Wallace and Christopher Bell pit crew swap. And I am just like, oh my gosh, that's got to be such a slap in the face to Christopher Bell, who is fighting to get into the playoffs. And the worst pit crew in NASCAR, basically, they make the decision, oh, we're going to give him to you and give Bubba your pit crew as we're coming down the stretch running, you're trying to make the playoffs. And, of course, it bites Christopher Bell in the butt because he has a tire issue. And as you look at this, that tells you that there's a lot that I can read into that. I can read into that. That tells me where Christopher Bell is on the totem pole at Joe Gibbs Racing. And that tells you what they think of him and how much respect that they have for him. And that also tells me that the message they are sending is, you're keeping that seat warm for Ty Gibbs. That's all you're here for. You are only here to keep that seat warm for my grandson. And I think they drove that point home by giving him that pit crew. I thought it was a slap in the face, completely disrespectful, and a bad move to treat a guy who's trying to get his way into the playoffs like that. So I was just shocked at that. So anyway, that was the thing that I took away from it. But those are our oh, no, we still got to cover the SRX race. Sorry. SRX race. Bobby Labonte gets his first win in the SRX series at the Nashville Fairgrounds. Tony Stewart struggled. This is his series. He knows how to drive these cars. He was the champion last year. He's had some great runs. He's been competitive everywhere. At one point during one of the heat races, the crew chief assigned him came on the radio and said, "Is everything okay?" And he said, "I am giving it all I can." But he was just bad. He finished ninth. The thing that got me, though, was Bobby Labonte's comments after his win. He was in victory lane, and this is a guy who is a NASCAR champion. He's a NASCAR Hall of Famer. He's won everything, done everything. And he said racing out there with guys like Helio Castroneves and the old NASCAR guys and Tony Kanaan and Marco Andretti, the word he used was, it's so intimidating racing with these guys and what they have accomplished and the talent levels they have. So to me, for a guy as accomplished as Bobby Labonte to come out and say it's intimidating to race with these guys, that tells you everything you need to know about the competition level and the talent level in that SRX series. But Tony Stewart struggled, Bobby Labonte with his first win. Those are the two things that I took away from that SRX race. Give me your guys' takes.
Unfortunately, I was not able to watch the SRX series at all. I mean, the only race I saw was the Cup race, and that was just because we actually had a break when I was up in Indiana for once. But unfortunately, the only thing I can really say about the SRX race is that congratulations to Bobby Labonte. I mean, it's been Lord knows how long since he won anything remotely in like a televised race, at least in a stock car sense, that I can remember. But hey, so congrats to him, and Lord knows that he's earned it. So congrats to him.
Yeah, after that spin and win in his heat, I thought he was very competitive last race. I think it's taken him a little bit longer to adjust the cars. And I think you see that with some of the other guys as well that are starting to do a little bit better in year two. I'm really happy for Bobby Labonte. Most of all, I think this is his first major win in quite some time, because I know he does some other racing on the side as well. So awesome to see that. And honestly, I thought it was a pretty good race. So, I thought it was a pretty good race.
Yeah, and guys, if you are not watching the SRX series, it is every Saturday on CBS at 8 o'clock. It is a great show. It is good racing every week. It is a little bit modeled after the old IROC series where all the cars are equally prepared. So you really need to tune in and check it out. It's people from all different genres of racing, from Ernie Francis Jr., who is a Trans Am guy, to four-time Indy 500 champ Elio Castroneves and Tony Kanaan and Marco Andretti from the open wheel side. We even had, as a special guest, this with Joseph Newgarden ran. And he was saying that's the first time he's ever raced anything with fenders on it. And then you have your NASCAR contingent of Bobby Labonte and Michael Waltrip and Ryan Newman and Tony Stewart. And you blend all those guys together on different types of tracks with equally prepared cars. And it's a good race, a good show every week. You really need to check it out if you haven't been watching it. So that is my plug for the SRX series. And that covers all of our racing. Now we get into the racing news that Zach is going to take us through. And if you have been under a rock today, crawl out and listen to this, because we had a bombshell dropped today. So Zach, take us through the news.
The silly season's underway, folks.
It's
going out big.
I just found out another bombshell in the IndyCar series as well. So, but this is more important. So, all right. So, brace yourselves, sit down, and Tyler Reddick is going to be driving in the at 23XI in 2024, and they announced it today. So not next year, but the year after, he will be driving for 23XI. It's unclear as to whether or not what car number he will be driving, or if they're going to open up 3 teams. Who knows? But all they know is Denny Hamlin got his guy, quote unquote, and he will head to 23XI. What are your guys' thoughts on this, Tom? Let's start with you.
Holy cow. You talk about Richard Childress going from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. Last week, he's celebrating in Victory Lane at Road America, probably thinking, I finally got this organization back to prominence. We've got a big win. We've got a talented, hotshot young driver that we can build this organization around. 10 days later, he finds out he's losing him. That's one of 1,000 angles in this story. There's also the angle, is it going to be 2 teams or is it going to be 3? What's Kurt Busch doing? Denny Hamlin has came out and said, we love Kurt Busch. He's got a job here as long as he wants it. He can race here till he's 48. So that tells me one of two things. Either Kurt Busch has already given them a definite retirement date that says, I'm definitely out of here this year, next year, whatever. And that's why Denny can say that. Or it tells me they're making a move to buy a charter because they think, that Kurt could still be here in 2024. There are 1,000 angles. We could do a whole show just talking about this, whether it be who's going to be in the RCR ride, how's this going to work? Is Bubba out? Is Kurt out? Is it a 3-car? There are 1,000 angles to this, and I can't wait to see them all play out. I think it's a good move for Reddick. I think right now 23XI with their affiliation with JGR is probably a stronger organization than Childress. I'm not sure what's going to happen next year. He's going to be kind of a lame duck driver. So I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen with Richard Childress next year. That's another angle. I got to shut up because I could talk all night about the different aspects of this. But Aaron, what do you think?
Like I said earlier, man, the silly season is off, and it starts with a bombshell. If I am Richard Childress, I am panicking right now because you know that you are losing Tyler Reddick at the end of next year. You are scrambling for a new driver for that egg seat as soon as possible because, again, I mean, let's face it, Tyler Reddick is the only driver in that stable making that team relevant in the Cup Series. Austin Dillon is mid to mediocre as they come. He's a solid mid-pack driver. Tyler Reddick, I think, was seriously outrunning that RCR equipment, and so he was the only guy making RCR relevant last season as well as this season, and then now he's gone. So if I'm Richard Childress, I am not going to be able to sleep tonight because this is going to hurt a lot. But for Tyler Reddick, I mean, I don't know. I've heard a lot of people will say that this is going to be a good thing for Tyler Reddick because he's going to a more promising team with 2311 over RCR, even though besides Kurt Busch, they haven't really shown a whole lot with on the Bubba Wallace side of things. And so I really don't know. I initially I think he's going. I think he has a promotion, but sideways. It's like, yeah, you're going to a new team, a new manufacturer, and all that's good, but it's not really like a tier up. It's not like you're going to like the main Joe Gibbs stable. You're not going to like a Hendrick Motorsports. You're not going to like a top tier team. You're going to a 2311, which has upside, but they haven't really seemed to really unlock that full potential yet. And who knows? Maybe Tyler Reddick is that piece that finally gets them over that hump to kind of like bring 2311 into the realm of like Trackhouse. But it's gonna take some work, and I mean I'm happy for Tyler Reddick for going to a new team, but if I am Richard Childress, I am panicking. I'm absolutely panicking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I couldn't believe this news when I saw it. I just don't understand why they would announce it now for 2024. It's kind of odd that you announce 2 years in advance almost. I don't know. But either way, he's going to be at 2311. I think it might potentially be in a third car because they have room to expand up to 4 cars, is what they said when they bought it originally. The new factory, building the new factory. I think this puts Tyler Reddick in a more competitive position. Right now, we see, or at least I see, better improvement over last year in 2311. If you look at what Kurt Busch and what he's been able to do in year 2 with essentially a new car, because they've had to build another car from and stretch their resources, I feel like he's going to do a lot better. It puts him in a better position to be successful, in my opinion, allowing 2311 to get another year under their belts, and then come in and win potentially. I don't think that RCR is, as we have seen over the past couple years, is set up for success, in my opinion, unfortunately, just based off of what we've seen. And obviously, RCR is going to be completely bummed by letting Tyler Reddick go, one of the best drivers that they've had in recent memory. So I don't know how you necessarily improve after this. You want to be. I wouldn't say that RCR is necessarily a prime destination if you're a rookie at this moment. I think they've kind of fallen in the RFK category where they were a top team and they're just flat out not competing. Do they have potential? Yes, but when will that happen? You don't want to be a rookie at the top of your game and going to a team that has proven that they don't necessarily have the resources to win or compete consistently on a weekly basis. So we'll see what happens with that and what happens with RCR after that. But moving right along, the next news story is going to be Noah Gragson, as we all know by now, was fined for his incident at Road America. However, shortly after the fine, he mocks NASCAR about his fine by pretending to auction off some of his sports memorabilia and other things inside of his house on I believe, an Instagram Live story. What are your guys' thoughts on this, Aaron?
Let's see. Grayson, a little bit tip for you, bud. You don't put out an oil fire by throwing water on it. And that's exactly what he's doing right here. I mean, there is no reason to act this fucking immature about this. Why? Why are you doing this, man? I mean, that fine was the best thing that could have happened to you in that situation. Is either a fine or your bus getting parked is what NASCAR could have done, and they chose to give you a fine. You should have been happy for that because they had ample reasons to park your butt for at least a week. But no, you decided to just continue to fan the flames, put water on a grease fire, and act like you're and take the road to Kyle Busch. You don't want to do that. Because Kyle Busch was the most hated SOB in the Cup Series, if you can remember that, and you just a completely immature, wrong take on this fine. Just pay it off, go on your way. What a classes act.
Yeah, because here's the deal, okay? If the fine is so low that you can mock it, then it probably wasn't enough. And I'm going to go back to what Darrell Waltrip used to say, because he spent some time in the NASCAR Hall or two and had some fines. They have a way of reminding you and letting you know in no uncertain terms that you need them a whole lot more than they need you. So you know what? This is what let me explain this to you. If you're watching this, if you see this, let me explain this to you. Here's how this game is played. There's 52 cards in a deck. NASCAR holds them all, okay? You have none. You have zero. They will park your ass for 5 races, for 10 races, for indefinitely. Go watch the Days of Thunder scene where they talk about the ships out in the harbor waiting to be inspected to come on board. You're that ship, Noah, okay? Don't fuck with NASCAR. They're the big dog. They're the boss. They will be here long after you are gone. You need them way more than they need you. If I am NASCAR and I am an official sitting back watching that, I'm like, hold my beer. Next time you breathe on somebody, I'm not kidding. If I am a NASCAR guy, I feel so pissed off and so disrespected. I'm like, it's $1 million fine and you're parked for the last 10 races of this year and the first 10 of next year. You're done. Nobody will even remember who you are by the time you get behind a wheel again. That was the stupidest move he could have made, and I hope NASCAR shows him how stupid it was. I hope it happens next time he even breathes on somebody. So that's my rant.
I mean, it all goes back to his arrogance. That is, you can see throughout his entire career how much arrogance he has through many wrecks and many faults of his own as well. If you look at the wreck, first of all, and its incident, that was enough to show you how much of an, excuse my language, but an asshole he is. And then the arrogance to back that up with the comments that he made afterwards because he got a fine just makes it even worse. And I don't necessarily know if anybody in NASCAR really took notice of that, because I didn't see very many people talk about it after it happened. People were like laughing about it. Fans were. But I feel like that's even more serious when you're laughing at a pretty serious incident and able to make joke of other teams losing 50 grand, 100 grand, and countless man hours rebuilding their entire cars. If you're able to make fun of that, then you have no class. And just awful look for him. And honestly, like you said, Tom, I don't think this was enough. And I think that it honestly goes back on NASCAR too. I mean, if you're already locked in the playoffs and you're going to get a 30-point deduction, which basically means nothing. I mean, you're not able to compete for the regular season championship, but you're still in the playoffs, right? That hasn't really affected your standing at all, and your ability to fight for a championship. And then you get a $35,000 fine when the car's damaged, upwards of $265,000. That's nothing. So I think it also looks bad on NASCAR as well, in my opinion. But
and not just NASCAR. I mean, it looks bad on Earnhardt. It looks bad on his team. It looks bad on his teammates. It looks bad on everybody that he's associated with. His sponsors, they look terrible with him. I mean, it's just bad on everybody that he's doing this kind of stunt. It's ridiculous.
If you look at Kelly Earnhardt's tweet about it, she was like, no, we're not going to be embarrassed for Noah. And then Dale goes out and explicitly says that he should get fined pretty much. And that he is somewhat embarrassed about his actions and did not condone it. So it just goes to show you the disparity also in the organization as well. They don't really have their story together. And it just kind of makes them look even worse, like you said. But yeah. But
all right,
moving right along,
the next story that is absolutely going to break Adam Lauer, one of our loyal viewers. It's going to break his heart, but we got to report it anyway.
Yes, Voyager, the primary sponsor of Landon Castle, files for bankruptcy, and we don't know what that means yet for Landon Castle or for Colleague Racing and that 10 car. But obviously, this is not good at any point when a sponsor files for bankruptcies. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna lose that sponsorship even after restructuring. So that's something that we're gonna have to look at. What are your guys' thoughts on this, Tom?
My heart kind of breaks for Landon. He has spent his entire career in subpar, underfunded equipment. He finally gets a chance to run for Matt Colleague and be in top tier equipment. And considering he's kind of in a new role here, I've been impressed with what he's done. He's consistently running in the top 10, and now his sponsor's going belly up. So my heart breaks for Landon. Just because I feel like the guy can't catch a break, and just when his career was about to take a big upswing, this happens to him. So my heart just breaks for Landon. That's the big thing that I take away from this, and for his biggest fan, Adam Lauer.
Yeah. What about you, Aaron?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same with Tom here. Just it sucks for the guy. I mean, he is such a likable personality. I mean, he's had, numerous successful drivers on his back saying, hey, this dude deserves a ride. He deserves a more competitive ride. He is deserving of another shot to kind of rebuild his career. And he finally got that with Colleague Racing. Everything was going fine until his sponsor is about to go belly up. And it's not just like a secondary sponsor. It's his main sponsor, which is going to hurt very, very badly. So it sucks, man. I mean, it just sucks for him. Dude just can't catch a break.
Well, if you look at it also, it's not just his main sponsor, but his other sponsors as well are also business-to-business sponsors with Voyager as well. So that is something that you're going to have to look at as well to see if he loses any other ones as well, because Stormex as well is one of those sponsors. But yeah, absolutely gutted for Landon Castle. You know, he gets a good ride, and he's doing pretty decent. You know, I would say it's probably it is the better run of his career, and some place where he has somewhat stability, and now it gets ripped up from underneath him again. So yeah, I feel bad for him, and I hope that it all goes better for him. I think that, you know, Colleague has enough sponsorship itself to potentially cover it. We've seen that in the past, so we'll see if that has any effect on that. But hopefully Noah gets out of this. As well as you got to look at the fans as well. They NASCAR fans as well spent a lot of money on Voyager. I've seen countless testimonials where they have lost a lot of money, upwards of $25,000-$50,000 in crypto because they can't get their money out. So yeah, it's awful. I hope they all get out of it, and you know, honestly, hopefully Voyager gets out of it as well. But that's why I don't do any crypto stuff. So
I want to play.
Yeah. So okay, now more bombshell news coming out of the woodworks here on the same day where we get Tyler Reddick to 2311. We also get, drum roll, Alex Palou racing at McLaren next season. So Chip Ganassi Racing about 5 hours ago announced on their social media on Twitter that they had exercised its option to extend Alex Palou, the reigning 2022 Series IndyCar Series champion, through the 2023 season. And then provided a quote saying Alex track record speaks of itself and he's a proven champion, one of the most formidable drivers in the world, from Chip Ganassi. They have not yet deleted that. However, shortly after, about 2 hours ago, so 3 hours after that first tweet, Alex Palou goes on Twitter and says that he did not approve.
Did not make that quote.
He said, I have recently learned that from the media this afternoon that without my approval, Chip Ganassi Racing issued a press release announcing that I will be driving with CGR in 2023. Even more surprisingly, that CGR included a quote which did not come from me. Did not approve of this press release, and I did not author or approve that quote. I have recently informed CGR for personal reasons I do not intend to continue with the team after 2022. This evening's unfortunate events aside, I have great respect for Chip Ganassi Racing and look forward to finishing the season strongly together. Shortly after that, McLaren announced that they have signed Palou to McLaren Racing. They do not include whether or not it will be an F1 or on their IndyCar side. They also have a Formula E team that they have not announced anything. So that makes Alexander Rossi, O'Ward, Alex Palou, the reigning 2022 Series IndyCar champion, Ricciardo in F1, and Colton Herta all in the mix for a McLaren ride in either of the major series that McLaren races in. The only person that is confirmed for IndyCar next season, only two people that are confirmed for IndyCar rides specifically for next season is Alexander Rossi and Pato O'Ward. So this is interesting because first they don't announce where he's going, but they contradict Chip Ganassi Racing, both the driver and the team contradict that. And that is one of the biggest stories out of IndyCar and pretty much racing today, this year pretty much, other than the 2311 racing news. What are you guys' thoughts on this? I know you guys don't follow IndyCar too much, but I hope I put the gravity of the situation into it enough. Do you guys have any thoughts?
Yeah, I'll go first, and I'm going to say that I don't think, I shouldn't say I think, I'm going to go down a path here. Follow me. CGR didn't do this as a, for lack of a better word, snafu, mess up, error. Okay. They are probably going to set this up for some type of a lawsuit that says, I have a contract with this man that says I can pick up the option for him to drive next year. It's my option to pick it up, period, amen, end of story. If I want him driving for me, I can. Okay, it's not a two-way option where we have to agree. It's a one-way option where I can say I want him. It is no coincidence that that comes out the day McLaren says he's signed and driving for them. I am wondering if there are legal issues that are yet to be untangled here where they're going to say, they being Chip Ganassi, no, I own the rights to this man. You can't go out and sign him. I have the option for him to sign, and I'm exercising it, which is then going to lead to a very expensive buyout that McLaren's going to have to negotiate. I just can't see it as coincidence that that comes out the day he signs with McLaren. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I could see there being some very, very expensive legal maneuvering here. And I don't have any details of the contract. This is pure speculation, but it just seems very odd that it comes out in that manner. So I am thinking Chip Ganassi is positioning themselves legally to say, McLaren, if you want him, you have to buy out the contract, and it's going to be a very expensive buyout. Could be wrong. Could be wrong, and I have no details, no inside information. I'm just speculating here.
This just in, though. Oh, man, I just lost it, didn't I? Fudge.
Especially when Chip Ganassi hasn't deleted the post yet.
Yes. No. So another source just said, and I lost it, so now I can't quote it exactly. But another source just said, reiterated the same thing. It said, okay, yeah, I found it. Our release today said it, Alex Palou is under contract with the team through 2023. And this is through a confirmed source that said that. So they stand by it. So what does this mean? Do they actually have an option where they get to keep Palou no matter where he wants to go? Or is Chip Ganassi racing in the wrong and they lost out on their driver? That's going to be interesting to see, but this is probably some of the biggest drama that we've seen come out, because I've never seen something like this before, where two teams are trying to contradict each other all the time with their driver announcement. I mean, either way, I think that Alex Palou and Chip Ganassi are going to have to split, because there's no way that you're going to keep a guy on your team that doesn't want to be there. But
you can put a lot of money in your bank account as you say goodbye to him.
This is true.
Yeah,
this is true. Aaron, do you have anything on this?
I really don't. Again, I don't really follow IndyCar all that much. I'm trying to, but I just can't seem to get the scheduled program on my phone correctly, and I miss the races. But I am starting to get kind of more into Formula One as kind of the months gone by. But it does sound like if Alex Palou is going to McLaren, and at this point, he probably is going to McLaren, because I think Alex Palou is now wanting out of Chip Ganassi as fast as humanly possible. It does say here that once he has racing duties next year, Palou will also test with the McLaren F1 team as part of his 2021 MCL 35M F1 car testing program.
That's their last year car.
Right, it's his last year car, but it's the F1 car.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, I'm not sure how the Formula One testing works in comparison to like NASCAR, or if it's the same or it's different. I don't know that because I'm a Formula One noob. But it does sound like Palou will probably just kind of like skip the F2 series and go straight to F1. He certainly has a pedigree for it, because even though they're kind of similar in the fact that they're open wheel, they're kind of different. So that's why the test. But I certainly think Alex Palou is going to go to McLaren after this, I guess, legal snafu, and he may go to F1. But if I'm Chip Ganassi, I'm staring at the camera with egg all over my face.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think it's egg all over face. I think they strategically did this because they're not letting this valuable asset out of his contract without a fight, and without money. So I don't
Yeah.
think it's egg all over their face. I think this is a strategic move.
And one of the interesting. Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
I'm
Respond to
sorry,
him.
but did McLaren confirm that he was going that the was going to F1 before Chip Ganassi exercised the option?
No.
No.
They did not.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
But it doesn't say that he's specifically going to IndyCar. It's saying, which I find the most interesting, because right now they have one seat potentially open for next season in Formula One. Daniel Ricciardo might leave. But earlier this week, it was announced that he was basically that McLaren was going to keep him in F1 unless he wanted to leave, because he has a exit clause. Daniel Ricciardo does. So what's interesting to me is that they have signed, let's see, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people under contract for 5 cars. So what are you going to do in that scenario? I don't know. But what's funny to me is that they just haven't announced where all these guys are going. Like, I want to know where they're going. But yeah, they seem to contradict themselves a little bit there, as far as, well, we're not going to kick Ricardo out, but we're going to go ahead and sign this other guy. Where are you signing him to? So anyway, but that is the news for this week.
Okay, and interesting. Darrell Waltrip had a little bit of a similar situation, although they didn't have social media back then. It didn't get into the press. But when he was trying to get to Junior Johnson's team, he was still under contract with whoever the previous car owner was. And of course, Junior Johnson was the premier team, and that's where Darrell Waltrip won all 3 of his Cup championships. But there was at the time, it was a lot of money. His contract had a $300,000 buyout, and Darrell Waltrip had no way at that point in his career. He was not that big of a driver at that point. He was big, but not that big, of coming up with it. So when it came time to do it, he's told the story many times. Gatorade put up a third of the money. I think he put up a third of the money, or borrowed a third of the money, and Junior put up a third of the money. But yeah, he was in a similar situation where he wanted to go drive someplace else and had a contract with a different car owner. So this is not unheard of. And again, I'm speculating, but just the recent announcement says, oh no, he's under contract for 2023. It makes it sound like we're into lawyers battling more than racers. But anyway, let's move on. Let's get into who's hot, who's not. Aaron, let's go with you. Who you got for your who's hot and who's not?
All right. So typically for my who's hot, I go back to the previous 6 races and kind of see who really is kind of like exceeding expectations for who's hot, and kind of vice versa for who's not. But for this week's edition of Who's Hot, I'm going to go with just a pure shout out to a guy that's had nothing but miserable luck all year long, and that's Harrison Burton, for finally getting his first top 10 of the season, his first one of the season at Atlanta, in a year where he's been flipped upside down his first race, had terrible performances, and really just awful luck all season. Harrison Burton finally getting a top 10 finish, something good happening to him finally this season. And so I will give him for my who's hot. For who's not, I mean, I'm going with the low hanging fruit here, and going with Chastain, because come on, dude, out of all the people you had to get into, it had to be Denny Hamlin again. Seriously, it had to be that one guy. Out of all the drivers in the field, you had to rub fenders with the one guy that probably is going to wreck you when it's least convenient for you. So, I mean, even though he got second in the race, man, I mean, when Jeff Burton, one of the nicest guys on the garage, is roasting you on live TV, you know you done goofed up. So I gotta go with Chastain, man. Come on, dude. I want to like you, man, but
that is well deserved. But that is also low hanging fruit, but it is well deserved.
That was an easy layup there. I'm not gonna lie.
When Jeff Burton is roasting your ass on live TV in the commentator's booth, you know you done screwed up.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and go. My who's hot is going to be Austin Cindric. Since Gateway, only Blaney and Chastain in that order have had better average finishes than Cindric over that time period. Cindric is tied with Elliott with a 6.6 average finish over the past 5 races. This coming at a crucial time as we near the playoffs. As far as who's my not, it's going to be Ty Dillon. He has been beaten by his teammate Eric Jones handedly all season and sits over 130 points behind him at the moment. He has a best finish of 10th place, only one top 10 on the season, and which Jones has bested him 4 different times which Jones has bested 4 different times this season. So not a really good look for Ty Dillon. Are they going to can him for somebody else next season? I mean, if you put up that kind of performances and you're getting beat by your teammate that bad, I would think that you would, but we'll see. But that's my who's hot, who's not for this week.
Okay. All right. For my who's hot, I am going to go with Georgia drivers. We got Austin Hill, who has been racing at the Atlanta Motor Speedway since he was, I think they said, I don't know how old he was, very young, since he was a child, has ran thousands of laps there, either in legend cars or bandoleros, and now has moved up to the Xfinity Series. I think they said he grew up within an hour of the track, but there is Austin Hill going out and grabbing the win in the Xfinity Series. And not to be outdone, Dawsonville, Georgia's own Chase Elliott goes out and absolutely kicks butt in the Cup Series. He breaks out the broom. He sweeps. He gets stage 1. He gets stage 2. He gets the race win. So the Georgia drivers, Austin Hill and Chase Elliott, are my who's hot for both bringing home wins. And how about on the Cup Series, Rutledge Wood being in Dawsonville, Georgia, and ringing the fire siren at the Dawsonville Pool Hall? I thought that was pretty cool.
Siren.
I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing it wrong. For the who's not, I'm going with Tony Stewart. I was shocked that he was struggling in the SRX series. 9th place finish. 11th in the main event at the Nashville Fairgrounds, his worst finish. He has been a contender everywhere they have ran. It's a car that, he kind of owns the series. He's kind of figured out how to drive the car. And he is the proverbial guy that can drive anything with a steering wheel and 4 tires. Struggled in the heat races, struggled all night. 11th in the main event at Nashville. Not sure what was going on there. But Tony Stewart is my who's not. But I'm loving my Georgia boys today. Loving the Georgia boys getting the win at their hometown track.
Awesome, Mike. I fully agree with that comment. That's where if I had a nickel for every single time that they mentioned that Chase Elliott is from Dawsonville, Georgia, I'd probably have enough to pay off my student debts right now. Yeah,
you think it's bad when it's Chase? How about when it was Bill and they had the nickname Awesome Bill from Dawsonville?
See, at least that's a nickname. For Chase, I swear to God, they mention it every single time they see him. It's like, oh my God, it's Chase from Dawsonville, Georgia. It's Chase from Dawsonville, Georgia. It's Chase from Dawsonville, Georgia. Like, we fucking get it.
I have to agree with Aaron on this one. It's been pretty awful.
Just shut up.
Okay. All right, we got a lot to unpack. I think we got some really good green flag, red flag questions here. So, Aaron, this is your segment. I think we got a lot to get through here, things we haven't really touched on earlier in the broadcast that are kind of big stories. But let's get into the green flag, red flag, Aaron.
All right, folks, here we go. You know the rules. Green flag for yes, red flag for no on the following statements, starting with Chase Elliott's last lap block of Corey LaJoie was a clean move. Green flag for yes, red flag for no. Yellow flag if you just want to be that guy. No judgment, even though we will completely judge you. Zach, we'll start with you first.
I'm going to say green flag for Dale Jr. Justin, I know you're just trying to defend your driver, but sorry. I'm looking at the wrong one.
You're on the wrong question.
I'm on the wrong question.
You're lemons, buddy.
Sorry. Last lap block of Corey LaJoie. So I originally thought that it was dirty. But after looking at it again, I'm going to say it was a clean move simply because when I looked at it, it didn't look like Corey LaJoie got to his outside. It just looked like he got his bumper up there. It was very, very, very close. So I'm going to say I'm gonna say green flag. It was a clean move, and I've been on the receiving end of dirty blocks by Chase Elliott with Matt DiBenedetto at Daytona last year. So I know what it means, and this was a similar move, but he just didn't get alongside of him at that moment. So I'm gonna say green flag.
Okay, Tom.
I'm going to say green flag too for a couple of reasons. One, even Corey LaJoie said it was a good block. Two is I am not a physicist, but when I saw the contact, I'm almost wondering if Corey LaJoie was checking up or something. I really thought that the way it happened, I expected Chase Elliott's car to be the one going around. I'm not a physicist, but I looked at it and I'm like, oh boy, Chase is going around. Because usually you got more weight in the front of the car. You got the engine there. When the front of one car hits the back of another car, I mean, Denny Hamlin and Ross Chastain will tell you when the front of your car hits the back of another car, guy that's getting hit in the back is the one that goes around. So I was shocked that Corey LaJoie got wrecked there. But I'm saying green flag because even Corey LaJoie said it was a clean block.
And I'm going to make it a three-peat here and just say green flag. If Chase had come up just like a second later, I would have been absolutely confirming that was a dirty block. But looking at it, it seems like LaJoie got more of Chase's bumper than he did his quarter panel. So I got to go with green flag. Even though I completely hate it for LaJoie, man, I was ready to scream up and down for LaJoie finally getting a win, but dadgummit, man, I was so hoping he would pull that off.
Yeah, I think that would have been an extremely popular win if Corey LaJoie could have pulled that off.
Also, imagine
and how about so much going on in the Cup race that we didn't even hit that as one of our big storylines.
Oh, I know, but just
we had to save something for green flag, red flag.
I know, but just imagine how shake up the points would have been if LaJoie got that win.
Now, wait a minute. You got to be, top 20 in points?
Top 30.
Top 30. And I don't know. Is Corey LaJoie top 30?
I mean, he is, I believe.
No, he's not. He's 31st. And he is a little bit quite a few off of Keselowski for 30th.
But that could have made for some real drama, though, if he was 31st and trying to close that gap.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it could. But just imagine all the chaos that would have ensued. Oh, that would have been.
Yeah, the other closest I think was a 38 team as well. So it would be those three, but it was a pretty big gap between those three guys. And remember, Keselowski had that. I think it was 100 point or 200 point. I think it was 100 point penalty.
100 point penalty
in the season. So, yeah.
Which, I mean, at this point, it doesn't matter. Anyway, moving on. Number 2 of the night. Who handled it better? Justin Marks or Dale Earnhardt? Who defended their driver better? Now, for reference, Justin Marks was defending Ross Chastain at Gateway for saying, quote, he's going to be a NASCAR champion and, quote, he doesn't need to change, while Earnhardt was, quote, shocked by Gregson's actions at Road America. So, who was right to be critical of his driver? Justin Marks or Dale Earnhardt Jr.? Green for Dale, red for Justin. Tom, we'll go with you first.
I am going to say, and we haven't seen this all play out yet, but I'm going to say Dale Jr. because I think that's what needed to be said, or maybe not said. But you know what? You're the owner. You want to support your guy, but when he's wrong, he's wrong, and especially when he is wrong to the point that not only it impacts others, but it could impact you down the road. Okay, so I think Dale Jr. handled better by saying, yeah, I was shocked. I didn't think it was a good move. Now, if Ross Chastain goes on and nobody ever puts him into the wall and he wins a championship this year, then maybe Justin Marks is right. And it's just support your driver and tell him to just have at it and go at it and you win races and don't worry about the repercussions. But I think the repercussions will come. I don't think you get away with that stuff. So I think Dale Jr. just saying, yeah, I was shocked and basically calling a spade, I think was the better move. So I'm going to say green flag for Dale Jr.
Okay. Zach, what say you?
Yeah, I'm also going to say green flag. Like I was saying earlier, Justin Marks, once fool me once, shame on me or shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Like Ross just seems like a wrecker. It's not a good look. You want your owners to kind of take responsibility, but at the same time handle their discussions in private as well. But also, when it happens this bad, you gotta get on top of it. So I'm gonna say green flag. I think Dale handled it better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also going to go green flag here. Even though the Earnhardt organization as a whole is kind of mixed on whether or not they want to handle Noah Gragson, that's not good. But I think Justin Marks is completely is more or less more out of bounds than what it's not DEI, but Earnhardt's Xfinity team is. I mean, I will agree. You have to defend your driver. You have to at least kind of say, hey, he's our driver. That's how he races. I get that, but that's now he's turning into a Recce Stenhouse Jr. A Recce Stenhouse Jr. is what he's turning into already.
Junior.
Exactly. So, but he's got to. Mark has got to find a way to get him to calm down, to get him to save some equipment, because I'm sure all those red race cars is eventually going to hurt his wallet a lot, and his championship hopes a lot more. So, Marks has got to find a way to kind of like focus in his aggression to gain a championship.
I really think there is a lot that you could explore there in the contrast and how the owners handled it. I really think there's a lot to explore there that we don't have time to get into, but it just struck me how much contrast there was between how one owner was like, he doesn't need to change at all, and the other one's, I was shocked, I couldn't believe he did that. I thought it was very interesting. But hey, Zach, can I go back to something else? Did you say there was a post made by CGR reiterating that they have Alex Palou under contract for 2023?
Yes.
If you don't mind, would you post that a link to that or copy that into the comments? I wanted to take a look at that when I get a chance. But sorry, I derailed us. Get us back on green flag, red flag, Aaron.
All right. So number 3 for the night, Tyler Reddick will be the third team for 23XI in 2024. So Tyler Reddick is going to be the third 23XI driver in 2024, meaning it's going to be Bubba Wallace, possibly Kurt Busch, and Tyler Reddick for 23XI for the 23XI banner. Green flag or red flag? Just a simple yes or no. Zach, you will go first if you want to, if you have time.
Yeah, I'm gonna say green flag. They have the expansion necessary. They can go up to 4 cars. I know they had the expansion plans planned. Maybe this is why they announced it ahead of time, so they could prepare for it. I think it all is just going to depend on whether or not Kurt Busch, what he wants to do, whether he retires after this season or next season. And also, I think Bubba's in a good position. I think he has a bunch of sponsorship, which is what you need to stay in NASCAR. His driving is how successful he's been is debatable, but he has the sponsorship to stay in, and I think that he will continue racing unless sponsors back out. But it's too early to tell as far as what exactly is going to happen. But I think that he's going to run in a third car for 23XI.
Okay. All right, Tom, what say you?
I'm going to go the same route and say green flag. It's going to be a 3-car team. As Zach said, they have the room. I think they're going to look for a charter somewhere. I don't know exactly where that charter is going to come from, but I think the next announcement you're going to see is they are buying a charter. But if you look at the lineup and what you've got, I am not impressed with Bubba's results, but Bubba brings in money. And if you can almost look at it, he's got the sponsorship, so he will keep his job, even if that sponsorship money really funds the more competitive drivers in that 23XI stable. But he's got enough money coming in through sponsorship, and he's popular enough that he keeps his job. Honestly, if you look at Kurt Busch, I don't think there's any reason for him to retire. It's not like he's Kevin Harvick where you're saying you haven't won in forever. He's actually won. He's running well.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing good. He's I don't see Kurt Busch as I'm not saying he's as good as he was on his best day, but he is a highly competitive driver, still capable of winning, and he seems like he's enjoying himself. So I don't see any reason for Kurt Busch to retire, and I think he loves it. He seems to be enjoying it. So yeah, I think it's green flag. I think it's going to be a 3-car team next year. Next big announcement will be what charter they are buying, and that could be we could do a whole other segment on what charter are they going to buy, but we'll save that for some other day.
Okay. I truly don't know here, because when you look at it, for Bubba Wallace, he seems safe due to the terms of, like what Tom said, he brings in the funds for the team. He's basically the more diverse driver of the field. Although with Zach, I see his point. They have the expansion tools necessary to operate a third team, but I'm probably going to say red flag. All for the point of Denny Hamlin has made it clear that the business deal for NASCAR is not working with him. Now, NASCAR is having a TV contract restructure, I believe, coming up very soon. And we're going to see kind of the restructuring of funds in terms of TV revenue for teams and for NASCAR. And so hopefully that will kind of lead 23XI into operating a third team eventually. And again, this deal does not take place until 2024, which is plenty of time to get a third team underway. But that's 2 years of evaluation of your drivers. Now, if Bubba Wallace for some reason has an episode where he does not bring in the funds necessary and his performance is still where it's at, which is very mid-pack-ish, and Kurt Busch, he's probably still there and still doing Kurt Busch things, then why not take up Bubba Wallace? I mean, if he's not bringing in money, then there's no point in keeping him if you have Tyler Reddick on the sidelines, who is a proven driver. So as of right now, I'm not seeing Tyler Reddick being a third team. I think he will kick either Bubba Wallace out or replace a retired Kurt Busch. So that's kind of my reasoning. They have the tools to do it. It's just Denny Hamlin doesn't want to do it unless there's a restructure of the business deal. That's kind of my thought into this red flag.
Interesting. I think it's going to be 3 cars, but we'll see. All right. A lot to unpack there still, and probably still more to come. Okay. Let's go on to our last green flag, red flag question.
All right. So last one of the night, and it is once again with Tyler Reddick, because he is the big story of the night and of the day, really. So Tyler Reddick will be replaced in the A car by a driver that is currently with RCR, meaning they're either their Xfinity team, and I believe they have a truck team. I may be wrong. If so, then go ahead. They're going to say I'm stupid in the comments. But green flag, red flag, Tyler Reddick will be replaced in the A car by a driver that's currently with RCR. So Tom, have at it.
Okay, so in the RCR stable in Xfinity, you right now have Austin Hill and who am I missing?
So I believe.
Oh, I'm blanking out. I looked this up
Sheldon
earlier.
Creed. Sheldon Creed.
Sheldon Creed. So those are your two in the RCR stable right now is Sheldon Creed and Austin Hill. Okay, so Austin Hill at that point will have had 2 years of the Xfinity Series under his belt. Okay, so that is definitely a viable option there. Okay, Sheldon Creed will have also had 2 years of Xfinity Series. Those two are viable options. But let me just throw out other names that are viable options. Okay. Noah Gragson, if Junior Motorsports doesn't go Cup racing or he's not the guy. Justin Allgaier, Josh Berry, Ty Dillon. How about the Richard Childress grandsons reunited? Eric Jones, and I think Mike Hora brought up Eric Jones. So there's some interesting possibilities out there that are not in the RCR camp. I think right now I have no idea. I have no idea right now, to be honest. I think a lot of it depends on what Austin Hill does in his next year in the Xfinity Series. Right now, if I am Richard Childress and I am looking at this pragmatically, okay, I have to say I need a driver who is capable of winning. Okay, and Austin Dillon really has not shown that consistently. He can pull one out every now and then, but he's going to get you a win every 2 or 3 years is what it looks like. My best play, if I am Richard Childress, is to go after Eric Jones. You know, he was good enough to drive for Joe Gibbs at one point. He has outperformed in the Petty GMS stable. I'm going to say if I am Richard Childress, I'm going after Eric Jones, and I think Mike Hora brought that up. But if I am saying what I think will happen, I think it's going to be green flag. I think it's going to be Austin Hill. So I'm going to say green flag, but I'm going to say if I was making the decision, it would be red flag. So there. So put me down for green flag because I think that's what Richard Childress will do.
Dang. I really love that thought process. I really like Eric Jones to the 8 car. I think it makes a lot of sense. I kind of hope that happens, but wouldn't it be because then that would open up a Petty or GMS Petty seat, and look who's in the wing waiting. Old Sheldon Creed, former GMS championship driver.
Lots of things can play out between now and 2024.
Anyway. Goodness. I think I'm going to say red flag. I'm going to say it's replaced by somebody different. Just to be different. I think it's going to be replaced by a veteran driver potentially. I don't think you can view Austin Dillon as a mentor, in my opinion. However, we shall see.
Okay. All right. Aaron, what say you?
Now, you did bring up a very good point with Austin Hill here. Because already, I think his first stint with the 21 car for Xfinity, he's already got 2 wins, 8 top 5s, 10 top 10s, and 2 DNFs. Those are actually very good numbers, or pretty good numbers for a rookie in the Xfinity Series. So, already off to a very promising start. Now, granted, both of those were in restrictor plate tracks, but he has been shown to kind of compete up there in the non-restrictor plate tracks. So he definitely has some talent there, and that's definitely a good option. But if there already is a Cup veteran just laying in the wake when it's time to finally put a butt in that seat that's had years of Cup experience, then I'm going to go for that guy. And leave Austin Hill in the Xfinity Series for at least maybe a year or two until maybe something finally decides to open up with RCR, or they get somehow a spontaneous sponsor to come in and to fill a third seat, which is going to be a miracle. But I'm going to say red flag. I gotta go for the Cup veteran, going with Zach, because experience is key in the Cup stable. But Austin Dillon or not Austin Dillon, Austin Hill is a very good backup right now.
We need to give some love to Austin Hill. He is outperforming that 21 car.
Yes.
I just want to say that out loud. Like, he is in the top 6. He's competing with the junior motorsports drivers, and the only people that are ahead of him are the junior motorsports drivers and AJ Allmendinger.
And Ty Gibbs.
Oh, sorry, and Ty Gibbs. That's right. That's pretty crazy to me.
Yeah. Also Sean Creed, dude. I'm so
sorry, he is
man.
currently out of the playoffs and only has 0 top 5s to his name.
6 top 10s and an outstanding 6 DNFs.
So
literally more than any other driver on the Cup Series standings or the Xfinity Series standings right now. 6 DNFs. He has the most.
So either he's out overdriving the car, or
he's not a good driver.
Yeah. Or I don't know. I mean, when you compare, Brandon Brown is only 5 points behind him. No, 4 points. 4 points behind him, and he has only 2 top 10s to Creed's 6, and that is an underfunded team. That's sad.
Okay, let me throw one other name out for you. Okay.
Here we go.
For the 8 car. Okay. How about Christopher Bell? We've seen him get slapped in the face at Joe Gibbs Racing. We know Ty Gibbs ready to come up. He could be out of a ride by then. He's won. He's shown enough talent to be, signed by Joe Gibbs Racing. How about Christopher Bell?
I mean, yeah. I think it would be no, because I think Martin Truex Jr. will be done by 2024. And so Ty Gibbs will move up. And who else are they going to replace him with? Brandon Jones? No. Probably not.
I mean, he's going to be a mid-pack driver already, if that.
I can't see it. Maybe Ryan Truex?
No.
I don't know.
No, not
Bane? I don't know.
Possibly Bane. I mean, he has expressed great interest in returning back, but I don't see him going to the Cup Series off the bat. I see him staying in Xfinity.
I think it really depends, but I think I agree. If everything stays the same, I do think that Bell is probably the weak link. Because not only do you have sponsorship issues with the 18 of Kyle Busch, you have retirement rumors, and then he says, "Okay, I'm going to run another year." From Truex, you got Bell's situation with the crew switch, and Denny Hamlin's just sitting there with his FedEx sponsor, chilling with his own team, racing separately with Joe Gibbs.
Which I think brings up another issue: how long until Hamlin bails?
How is Hamlin the most secure driver on the team at that point? Owning a different team that's competing against the team that he's racing against. But yeah.
Okay, I just tried something different here. I tried to put up a poll in our chat. Can any of our viewers tell me if the poll actually worked, or if it's another thing that was an epic fail on my part? It did. Okay. I wish I could have more than 4 options, but I can't seem to figure out how to do that.
Honestly, I think those 4 options are pretty good.
Well, I would have listed out the junior motorsports drivers and the Cup Series contenders if I could have, but it only gave me 4 options, unless I'm just not smart enough to figure that out. But anyway, enough of that.
Anyway, okay. that rise.
We have had so much to unpack in this show. Bombshells everywhere. I mean, it has been I feel like there's 2 or 3 different topics we could have devoted most of a show to just that topic. But anyway, let's keep rolling with this. I think we are up to our New Hampshire preview, right?
We are.
Yes.
Also for Atlanta picks, none of them did very well besides Zach's picks of Ryan Blaney and Justin Haley.
I tried. Almost won. Almost.
Mine crashed, and my dark horse also crashed.
Kyle Larson finished
I
well.
would like to say that in the NASCAR fantasy, from the NASCAR app, the fantasy, I took over the points lead in our league this week. So
Yes, you won. Congrats.
did I win
Good
the
for you,
race too? I know I
Yeah,
took
you
over the
won the
points lead. Did I
race.
win the race too? Cool.
I was
Yay.
in second.
I should have picked myself for who's hot.
Yeah, exactly. I was in second, a cool maybe 100 points almost. No, I think it was it was over 50 points behind you. But yeah, that was
fine.
restrictor plate tracks are so hard to pick, so hard.
They are.
So
But we're not at a restrictor plate track this week. So let's talk about New Hampshire preview. So
absolutely.
I'll go first here. I am going to
Sure.
say Joey Logano wins at New Hampshire. Okay. And here is why. He ran fourth last year at New Hampshire, even though last year was the race where they started the race in the rain, even though they said it wasn't the rain, and then everybody crashed, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
That last year or 2020?
That was last year.
That was last year.
NASCAR really dropped the ball.
Yeah, they really dropped the ball now. But Joey Logano brought it home fourth last year. And to me, if you look at, and I know it's a different car this year, you can throw out all the history, okay? But if you look at New Hampshire, it races a lot like WWT and Martinsville because they are flat tracks. And if you look at the flat tracks, Logano has got a first and a second at New Hampshire and WWT. So I am saying he is becoming the king of the flat tracks this week by winning at New Hampshire. My dark horse is going to be Eric Jones, 7th place at WWT, 13th place at Martinsville. The best of any dark horse driver in the field, because let's just face it, when you got, what are we up to, 13 different winners, there aren't that many dark horses left.
Exactly.
No.
Well, I was going to look up some statistics, but Christopher Bell is going to be my pick to win. Bell did very well in his Levine family racing debut in 2020 until a late issue caused a poor finish. He was inside the top 10. I think a tire went down. And then last year he was a runner-up, but dominated most of the race before it was called due to darkness. So Christopher Bell, always a strong contender at the short tracks, especially New Hampshire. He did really well in his truck and Xfinity Series career at this track. He just has it down. And as far as my dark horse, I'm going with last year's winner, Eric Almirola. The 2021 winner at New Hampshire has led in the past 4 events leading back to 2018. He's finished inside the top 10 in all but one stage out of those races and finished top 11 in each of them, with finishes of 11th, 7th, 3rd, and 1st in those 4 events. So I think he has a good chance at repeating. I hope he does. I would either one of my guys. I'm trying to pick guys that haven't won yet. So for both of my picks. So I'm going to pick some of them until they win.
Okay, can you pick the defending race winner as an underdog?
Yes,
is that allowed?
He is not
allowed. Does that qualify?
He has not done great this season. It's different. Like you said.
Yeah,
throw out
he had a
everything.
hot start and then he just fell off the face of the earth.
No Stewart Haas Racing driver has won, and they're about to both be out of the playoffs. If not, I think they both
Chase
are.
Briscoe. He won
never mind.
Twice, didn't he?
Never
Or
mind.
once, twice, something like that.
I think one. No, he won. He won once, but
Once, yeah, Phoenix.
Yeah. Still, my point stands. Stewart Haas Racing as a whole has done absolutely garbage, in my opinion, this season, other than Chase Briscoe. So,
yeah,
I think Eric Almirola gets it done again this weekend.
Let's see. I guess for my pick, let's see. I'm going to have to go with. I'm going to go with Denny Hamlin as my pick for this win. Because again, he seems to do well at these flat, kind of short tracks kind of thing. He seems to do very well there. He's had a lot of success at New Hampshire over his career, and he possibly could have done a lot better last year if it weren't for the rain debacle. So I'm going to pick Denny Hamlin as my winner. And as for my dark horse, I don't know how y'all left me with him, but can I claim Kevin Harvick as a dark horse?
If the defending race winner can be a dark horse, a former NASCAR champion, I guess, can be a dark horse too.
Tommy hasn't won this season. He
hasn't won last season.
He did win last season. He won at New Hampshire. Oh, you're talking about Harvick.
Yeah, Harvick. Yeah, Harvick's what I'm talking about.
I will defend this.
Okay. God. How long has it been since we talked about Kevin Harvick being a dark horse? Jesus.
I don't think you can. He's inside the playoffs.
Wait, who Harvick?
Yeah. He's in. Hold on. No, he's just outside, but he's
outside.
He's top 10 or no, top 11 in points right now. That's kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, hanging on by a thread.
True.
A literal thread. He needs a win badly. And he has a ridiculous 4.0 average finish at New Hampshire since February 2019. And so I got to go Kevin Harvick as my dark horse. I'm going Denny Hamlin as my race winner. And watch him crash out in the first 20 laps.
We just talk about how we have Christopher Bell, Kevin Harvick, Eric Almirola, all have not won this season. More specifically, Kevin Harvick. Well, also Ryan Blaney and Martin Truex Jr. have also not won. But I'm talking about people that are outside looking in right now.
Yeah, well, Ryan Blaney has been due to more like bad luck and bad strategy than bad performance.
I mean, if we have no new winners, right? That last battle is going to come down between Christopher Bell and Kevin Harvick. It's 19 points right now.
How about apparently silly season Almirola may not retire? That he was asked about it and kind of dodged the question. So
what?
Yes, I forgot about that.
Now that Mike Hora has jarred my memory, I do remember seeing a story about that.
Yes. It is not a done deal that he's going to be retiring after the season. So could we see another season of Eric Almirola? Silly season.
That will be interesting.
Supposedly, from what I've heard, this is just rumor, Smithfield threatened to leave if Eric leaves. And so they're trying to fund the team for one more season. So I don't know. They don't really have many options as far as sponsors go. I mean, you see Richard Childress Racing able to pull out sponsors and stuff like that. What is Stewart Haas doing? They're running.
Well, Richard Petty can do that because it's Richard Petty, the king. Stewart Haas, not so much.
Well, I guess you could do both, but I said Richard Childress first.
He said Richard Childress, not Richard Petty.
Oh, okay, never mind.
But both are getting sponsors. But yeah, I don't know.
I do not know.
But anyway,
time will tell.
Those are our picks.
Okay. All right, it is time for our parting comments, and we kind of have our own little bombshell to drop here. We have put a lot of our heart and soul into this show. We take a lot of time to try to bring you guys up to speed on things. We try to follow every race, know every storyline, keep up with every event. And quite honestly, we've kind of talked about this and said we've all got different commitments going on in our life. We all got our different things that we want to pursue. We try our best to bring you guys a good product. We've just kind of made the decision that it's just we've all got different reasons for why we landed where we are, but we have decided that this is going to be the last season of the Loose Lug Nuts, that at the end of the season, the NASCAR season, after the championship is crowned, we do our season ending show, we are going to bring this show to a halt and kind of stop working on this and putting this on every week. We appreciate everything that you guys have done for us. We have loved getting to know our viewers, even though we only have about 10 on a good week. We have loved getting to know you guys and becoming friends with you guys. We've had a lot of fun doing it. But, we've got everything going on from, Zach has got a new house and he's got a new wife, to Aaron has got a job and a lot of different things going on with his family, to I have kids that, quite honestly, I wouldn't have traded my Sunday afternoon with my kids for watching any NASCAR race anywhere, anytime. And it's just a lot of different things that led us here. But we wanted to let you guys know, we thank you guys. We will be here till the end of the season. We appreciate all the support, all the love, all the interaction, all the fun we've had. But season 2 is going to be the end game for the loose lug nuts. So, again, appreciate you guys. And I don't know, Zach, Aaron, if you guys have anything you want to add to it, but we kind of did some soul searching, and that's what we came up with this week.
Yeah. I mean, please don't take this, I guess, personally. I mean, you guys that have stuck around here since day one of the show, for like Adam and Mike, who has donated a lot of their time, a lot of their comments, and given us some great insight over the course of the last 2 years. And you guys and guys like that, you guys have been tremendous and awesome fans for us. We cannot have asked for better fans from you guys. But we just feel like the amount of work that we're putting into this every single week, and it just feels like more of a job for us. An enjoyable job, but a job nonetheless. So that's pretty much my reason for going. But keep in mind that this show has been a lot of fun for us. We are still going to the end of the season. This is not the last episode. We're going to the end of the season for you guys, and we're finishing up the season, damn it. So, but yeah, we're calling it quits at the end of the season, unfortunately.
Yes, so we're gonna finish out strong for sure, and I'm excited for the rest of the season. But yes, definitely some somber news, and a different type of bombshell, like Tom said.
Yeah.
All right. With that, I don't know that we got anything else we even can say after that, but thank you guys for tuning in. And again, we are here through the end of the NASCAR season. We will probably do a wrap-up show after the race in Phoenix. So stick with us through the end of the season. So thank you guys again for tuning in, and we will catch you all next week. See you then.
See you guys.